This is a demonstration of how to install a Apple CarPlay or Android Auto kit into your BMW 4 Series or 3 Series. This is everything you need. We'll go through the kit and the step-by-step installation guide of what to do. First, you need a couple tools, which I have right here. You need a T20 and a T30 Torx, as well as a small extension. You need a 10mm socket, a hook tool, and some panel poppers. It's as easy as that. Huge shout out to GTA Car Kits. They were kind enough to send me this kit, and I really am impressed with their customer service. I had a couple questions and they were so quick to respond, so friendly, and looking through this kit, it really is top quality. Even just opening it up, it sort of reminds me of Apple, the quality and sort of detail that they provide. Here you can see they have a couple instructions and everything is just so nicely packaged. You can kind of tell the level of detail from this company. Everything just looks so good. If you are looking to do this to your own BMW 3 Series or 4 Series, I highly recommend using GTA Car Kits. The link is in the description. They're a wonderful company, really make quality products, and also have incredible customer support. So go to the link in my description and you can see the exact link to this kit. The first thing you're going to do is use the popper panels to pop off this entire trim piece. Now, there's clips that start right here all the way down to there. And you just want to make sure that you don't break any clips. That would not be very ideal. So we'll start here. Now, what you want to do is just go ahead and pull this little clip right here. There's no anything that you need to detach, so you can just give it a pull, and it should come right out. The next thing to undo is this little clip right here. Now there is something that you need to push in on the bottom. So you can stick your fingers in like this and then push on that bottom, give it a little toggle, and there you go, comes right out. It is sort of tight, so just want to make sure it doesn't get stuck on anything, but there we go. Now you can go ahead and set aside this piece. Definitely set it somewhere safe. You do not want to scratch this carbon. Okay, the next thing is this little panel right here. So there's two clips right about sort of under these little buttons right here. So if you just take your panel popper tool again, jam it in there, should be able to just take that off, and you don't need to remove this little wire here. Just feel free to leave it in, and you can kind of just let it rest right here. It's not going anywhere. With your T20 Torx, the next thing you're going to want to do is take out these 6 bolts. So you have one right here, right there, right there, right there, and then the 2 that connect this screen. Definitely have a plastic bag. It helps to keep track of everything and make sure that you don't lose any bolts. Okay, all done with that. Now we can move on to the next step. Now we can now remove this completely, and there's one small cable that's connected right here. It is a bit difficult to get off, but if you just keep wiggling back and forth and pulling very hard, eventually you will get it off, and you can just leave that right there. Now you can use the same T20 Torx bit to remove these 4 bolts right there. All right, now this should be completely free. Should be able to pull it just like that. Now we'll go ahead and move to the glove box. So what you want to do, if you can see right here, there are 4 T20 bolts. So you want to use something to get them off. Unfortunately, the screwdriver will not work. So if you have a socket, fantastic. If you do not, I'm using this sort of makeshift wrench and T20 combination to make it work, but definitely recommend using a socket for this. So I've struggled through with my makeshift way, but yes, definitely recommend having a some sort of ratchet or proper tool to do this, so you don't have to take 10 minutes like I did, but nonetheless, when you're in a pinch, you're in a pinch. Okay, apologies about the weird angle, but the next thing we're redoing is actually removing this little black panel right here. You do need to remove some of the weather stripping, so I'm going to just pull on that. It's actually not as difficult as you would imagine. Okay. Now, okay, once you have removed that, you want to again take your panel tool and just get under there, and you'll hear some clips. And a lot of this process when you're taking out and putting in little panels is really just an exercise of wiggling more and more until it comes out. And now we have this out. This is a very awkward angle, but you want to take out that little T20 that you can see right there. One thing to keep in mind, because this specific T20 is different than all the rest, you do want to make sure that you separate this specific screw from all the rest. It has a bit of a bigger thread pattern, so it can't just interchange with the others. Okay, I've gotten it. You can see the thread pattern's a little bit bigger, so I will set it to the side and we can move on. This is a very hard shot to capture, but there are two 10mm bolts right there and right there. What you want to do next is take your 10mm socket and remove them. Again, apologies about this strange angle, but you gotta do what you gotta do. That's the only time that you'll use the 10mm. Now we can take off this panel right here. So what you want to do is use your panel popper, and you can also use your hands, and you just want to go ahead and pop this panel right off. There will be two plugs. One that unplugs like that, and another that unplugs just like that. I believe in some 4series cars you'll just have one, but specifically in the M4, you do have a cigarette lighter right here that you can unplug as well. And you just want to go ahead and set this panel aside. The next step is to take out this airbag here. Of course, you want to be extremely careful when doing so. You will need the next step here is to take out this airbag right here. Be extremely careful if doing so, and if there's any hesitation, you can completely remove power to the car. I'm not going to do that, but I definitely recommend doing so if there's any caution. You want to use a T30 Torx bit, and you just want to begin to unscrew these two bolts. May have some Loctite on them. I believe in most cases they will, so it's extremely important that you need a very good grip to actually even loosen them. But beyond that, when you're taking out the second screw like I am right here, you definitely want to make sure to support the airbag so it won't fall. Just like that. And you can just lean it right there. You don't actually need to unhook it or do anything like that, but now we can move on. Now we have the next step, which is back to the Torx T20, and there's 4 bolts under this glove box that you need to remove. One is right here, one right here, one in the same place right there, and one right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove all 4. Okay, now we are all done with that step and we can move on. All right, at this point we now can actually remove the glove box and begin making all of our different connections. So just want to gently grab this, and you don't actually need to disconnect a whole lot of what's here, but what you will need to do is just sort of let it lean down and sit here. Just make sure that you're not straining any connections and that it is able to sit on the ground without potentially pulling any wires out. Okay, it's highly recommended to put a microfiber cloth or something down so you don't scratch anything major on your dash, but you can go ahead and wiggle this out and then set it right here. Again, make sure you have a microfiber down just to not risk scratching anything. And after that, we can actually begin to take out the OEM screen as well. So just want to give it a little wiggle. Towards the back of it, you can see there's a 90-degree clip, and you need to just push in on the side, and then you can give it a pull, and it should come right out. Lots of wiggling necessary at this stage, but eventually you will be able to get it completely out. Again, be careful of the screen. Now, you'll just take this pink wire right here. So this pink cable right here, you'll just feed it down all the way, and it will be, if you can, it will now just be coming out of this center section right here, and we'll use it for this next step. For this next step, you essentially want to use this cable that comes with the kit, and you want to see the 2 different ends. This 90-degree end, take the 90-degree end, and you will begin to feed it up. Ultimately, it will come out the other side just like this. And then you can take the screen and you want to plug it in right here where the original cable was. And you just want to wait and hear that click. Once you hear the click, you can put back in the screen just like this. You want to make sure it's fully locked in and give it a nice little wiggle. Okay, an exciting part, we can begin to actually wire this thing up. So you see the original and the plug that comes with the kit. What you want to do is take both of them and you want to pass them through to the glove box area. Now on the kit, there's a ton of space that you can do this with, but on the OEM cable, there's not a whole lot of space. So you have to make sure that this is maybe a little bit up, and you should have just enough space to bring both cables out. Now what you want to do when you have both of the cables out right here, you want to take the blue one, which came with the kit, and you want to plug it in to the LVDS out, just like so. And they even made it nice. They have it color coordinated right here. So I'll go ahead and plug this in. Let's see here. All right, it's plugged in. And you want to take the OEM cord, which again, there's not a whole lot of slack. So just like that. And you want to plug it into the LVDS out spot right there. All right. And you always want to make sure that your connections are secure. Never want to have to pull this out again. So now, apologies about the awkward angle, but as you can see, the kit comes with this cord now. So essentially what we're doing is we're taking this, the OEM one, out of the back of this head unit, and we're going to replace it with this. So first, what you want to do is just look back here, and I've already sort of done it, but you want to unhinge it and then just pull it out. So now we can see the OEM plug. Okay, now we have a very critical step. This car has fiber optic, and you can sort of see it by this green and black cable. So what we want to do is take out this little piece right here with the two circles. So you need your hook tool for this. Lift it up, and once you've lifted up the tab, you should just be able to pull out the fiber optic. And now you're going to go back to the cord that was provided, and we're basically going to install it right here, very similar to the OEM spot. If you miss this step or you don't do it, you won't have any audio at all. So it's super important to make sure that this is done correctly. So there we go. Okay, give it a wiggle, make sure it's in place, and just like that, we can move on. Okay, now we basically take the OEM plug that we just took the fiber optic cable out, and we plug it into what the kit came with, the female end. And then we're going to take this, which is the one that we just plugged in the fiber optic cable to and came with the kit, and we're going to plug this back into the OEM position where we just took that out. I know it's a bit confusing, but let's go ahead and begin. You'll feel you almost have to have it all the way plugged in, and then you can make the connection. So now we've done the one, so we're going to push that back, and then I will plug in this one to the back of the head unit. You can see now that this piece right here is plugged back in to the original spot. Apologies, I could not get a better camera angle, but it is a bit difficult to do. One thing to keep in mind is you actually almost have it plugged in the entire way before you actually lock it in with that mechanism. So it's almost all plugged in, and then at the last second you push down that mechanism and it locks it in place. So bit of a struggle, but that's complete. Okay, now we will take this extra sort of, jumble of cables, and what we'll do, we'll run it through to this, through here, into the glove box. And what we want to do now is actually plug this cord right here into the power right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug it in. And now I hear something working, so I believe we are all set. Okay, so now we can begin to actually put this head unit back in. Two things to keep in mind is, one, that quad lock that we just connected, we want to make sure that it drops down below, just so it has enough room and this can slide in properly. And secondly, the pink cable, the LVDS in, because it was so short, we just want to make sure to really guide it with our hands and make sure that we're kind of pulling on it as we put that back in. One thing to note, sometimes you can jam in these three cables right here. So you just want to make sure that you have 1, 2, and 3 still out. That way we can, back up and connect everything up. The next thing you're going to do is use this USB cord that comes with the kit, and you're going to now go into the glove box and take a little look at that piece right there. You can actually just pop that off from the back. If you just look at it, you can kind of just unclip it, and here it pops out. So now you're going to take that cable and actually run it through right there. So as you can see, I ran it through, and I'm just going to keep pulling it until I have enough slack. And this will then sit in your glove box. Okay, now once you have the wire coming out, you're just going to plug it right into this USB section right here. And just give it a nice, okay. So now, just double checking, making sure it's in. Now we come to the last piece, which is super exciting, and this is the Wi-Fi cable. This will allow us to do the Bluetooth Apple CarPlay, which is what we all want. Essentially, you are going to just plug this side into right here, the Wi-Fi, and then we're going to stick this, which is the antenna, pretty much right on top of this air vent. All you need to do is really just clean the top off right there. Take off this piece of double stick tape and then place it right there. So I'll go ahead and do everything right now. Okay, that is plugged in. Going to take this microfiber cloth and give this a good wipe. Make sure it's super clean. Now I'm going to take this and just bring that right there. Now all I need to do is the final step. I'm so excited to test this thing out. All right, the final step, taking off this double stick tape, and then I'm going to carefully place this antenna right here, right there. Just going to make sure it's all down nice and neat. And that is about it. Give it a wiggle, and it is definitely on there. Now we can put this bird's nest back together. One very important note is you will see all these little toggles right here. Now it likely already comes like this, but if you have the bigger screen like mine, all of these toggles should be off except number 5, which should be up. And if you have a smaller screen, they would all be off. So just double check that toggle number 5 is up. As we start to reassemble this, the actual console right here from GTA is going to sit right in here. So it's going to kind of like tuck around the corner and sit there. You can, do whatever you like. If you'd like to zip tie it, if you just want to make sure it's secure, do that. But before, let's give it a test to make sure that everything is working before we do fit everything back together. You can see now very slightly, but it is tucked right there. It just sort of fits in this little pocket right here, which is quite nice. And if you want to do any zip tying, feel free if you want to secure it, but I really think it feels pretty secure right there. So now we can begin to actually put all of this back together. And to do so, we will start again with the glove box. Now we can begin to actually put all of this stuff back. So very carefully, I'll go ahead and take this here and begin to fit it all back. You can see it kind of goes into place. You definitely want to check some additional mounting points and make sure that everything is properly aligned. Mounting points that you want to look for, they're actually really nice. If you can see this metal bracket right here, there's a little slot that you can just see the glove box is in right there, and it's sitting on top of this metal bracket. And the second one is right here. So you can see this metal bracket again is perfectly aligned. And this will just make sure that the entire process of putting this back together is done properly. So before we put everything back together and tighten it, we do want to make sure that everything was done properly and it works. So to do that, I'm just going to put and plug in this wire back to this console, and then we'll be able to test with the USB. So I'll just go ahead and plug this back in. I'll go ahead and just sort of set it there. Now that this is in place, I will come over here and I will actually use the USB. Of course, we'll do the wireless CarPlay later, but just to test, I will plug in a good old USB, and I'll cut the video to make sure that this properly works. Okay, and just like that, everything works, and it is super easy to use. Even wirelessly right away connects, tells me how to connect. I can see all sorts of good stuff there. And yeah, overall, I'm just thrilled. Super excited to check all of this stuff out. But oh my god, to see CarPlay on the screen just looks so good. Okay, now we are going to begin the connection process. First thing you gotta do is put back those 4 bolts to secure the glove box. So I'll just pull out 4 bolts, get my screwdriver, and begin the process to get everything back. Now we can begin to put back the airbag. One very important piece, you see these little screws. You want to make sure that these are towards the front of the car and not towards you. So with that, you can begin to just go ahead and get this in place. Just with both of these screws. You'll notice that the airbag is extremely tight to begin. There's some Loctite on there, and you want to make sure that when you are putting in those 2 bolts, that you put it in very securely and tighten it with all of your might, just like it was when you originally took it out. The next thing is this panel right here. It's very important to note that don't forget to plug everything back in. Just go ahead and plug this in. Again, apologies if this is a bad angle, but it is what it is. A little difficult to film this, but go ahead and plug in everything back. Okay, now, bit of an angle switch, but you do want to make sure that all of this clips in properly. Okay, now you're going to put that bolt back in, and you just want to make sure that you have that unique bolt, the one unique bolt that goes back in there to line everything up. I'm going to go ahead and use 2 hands to do this. You want to make sure you don't drop it. Okay, now we can put this side panel back on. So it just sort of clips in place, and then we'll put this weather stripping back on too. So first, I want to get it sort of behind the weather stripping there. All right, get it behind, all lined up. And once you have it kind of lined up, you can give a nice little push. And now Now you can go ahead and put this weather stripping back in place. At first I was a little worried about removing the weather stripping, but honestly it's super easy. Do not be afraid of this at all. All right. Okay, now we're on full reassembly mode. We just want to put those two 10mm bolts back in place. Now we can begin to put the original 6 bolts back in place. So right here, there, and the 2 for the screen, which as you can see I've already put in place, but we'll just go ahead and tighten them. Now, again, you just want to be very careful that when you're putting these 2 in that you don't drop them, because it would be terrible to have to go and take everything apart just to get some of these bolts again. Now we can go ahead and put this console back in. You just want to go ahead and put this clip back in. Make sure it's in properly and go ahead and line it up. All right, now you can just go ahead and screw these in. Okay, now we can put these 4 T20s back in. Again, do not be like me and definitely prepare ahead of time. Get a proper ratchet because these take a minute to do. So let me go ahead and put them all back in. Okay, with these 4 bolts very slowly being put back into place, we are so close to being done. Now we are on the very final steps, and it's essentially to put in this piece right here. So I'll just go ahead and tuck. Let's see. Just go ahead and give it a little push, just like this. All right, that could not be more simple. And now the final trim piece, and then we're done. All right, now I have the final beautiful carbon fiber trim piece to put back in, and you're essentially just going to put these 2 cables back in their original spots, but there's one important note. So to put this cable back in connecting to this button, it's super tight. So what you can do, if you see right there on the back side of this, you can use your hook tool and you can press in these 2 clips, or you can try with your fingers just like this, and you can see it right there. You can just press them in and slide this button out a little bit, and then you'll be able to fit in this little connection a lot easier. I think without doing this, you'll really struggle, if you're even able to at all. I don't even know if it's possible. Then you just want to give it a push all the way back in. You hear it click, and you want to plug in this. All right. Now, very delicately, I will line up these cords and begin to actually put this back in. Okay, you want to now give it very good hard sort of press. I know it feels not right, but this is definitely what you need to do. And just like that, again, give everything a very firm press, and you can see the line. You can see that we have just completed the entire installation. Wow, it's all done. My car is back together, and I'm super excited to check this thing out. And if I go ahead and just hold back again, back to CarPlay. This is a super cool mod, definitely worth the work, and I'm so happy and excited to test this out on the road. CarPlay makes this car so much more modern, and it's not terribly bad to install. Take an afternoon and it's definitely worth the work. I love the way this looks. Thank you so much to GTA Car Kits. They really provide incredible customer service, but beyond that, their product is of extremely high quality. If you do want this same thing, feel free to check out the link in the description. One important thing to note is that even when CarPlay is up, when you put the car in reverse, the backup camera pops up right away. So super easy. After about 2 weeks of using this system every single day, it's worked flawlessly. The Bluetooth connection actually is even quicker than the OEM connection was, and I've had zero problems. GTA Car Kits makes an extremely good quality product. I really hope this install video helps, and if you want this kit, the link's in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.